Hello and welcome back to the Exvangelical Bible Study. I'm Sara from Leaving Faith, and this is my co host, Justin from Deconstruction Zone. Hi, Justin.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you for having me back. I'm excited to dive into the rest of the Joseph story. Although we've really only scratched the surface, it's a long story. So I'm pretty
It
excited to dig
is.
into it. Will you
Although
break
we,
out in song and do the musical during any of this, or
believe it or not, I have never seen the Joseph musical.
I haven't seen it either?
I feel like maybe we should watch it. I mean, but we haven't. We are uncultured in this way, I guess.
Actually, yeah. You know what we should do at the end of the Joseph narrative is do watch the musical. I think they made a cartoon of it too.
Oh, geez.
The Prince of Egypt or something. What they call it?
Oh, okay. Well, no, yes, I have seen The Prince of Egypt, and that is a
Oh,
masterpiece.
it's good.
Oh, it's so good. Honest to God, like the music is fantastic. Like
Okay.
you should legitimately listen to the music. It's really good.
All right. I'm down for that.
Okay. Nice.
I mean, it'll never top 10 Commandments by Charlton Heston, but what are you gonna do? I mean,
Okay, this is a really different vibe.
the
Very
bar,
different vibe. Different category.
the bar was already so high.
Oh man. So before we get back into Joseph though, we have to take the world's weirdest detour in this story. And as promised last time, I said, when we all learned this as kids, this chapter was just whoop, skipped right over. I mean, from a literature standpoint, it makes sense to skip it because it's not related to the story. But it is so weird.
The placement of this story makes no sense, like you said.
None.
It's almost like we have this vital narrative. We just have to stick it somewhere, and they're like, "No, just stick it here." No one will know the difference. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, starting in chapter 38, we suddenly are going to learn about Judah. So, off we go on this side quest. So Judah leaves home and he marries a Canaanite woman and she becomes pregnant and they have a boy named Is it just Like I don't just
Yeah, that's how I've always
okay.
pronounced it.
And then they have another kid, Onan, and another one, Sheila. Um, so when grows up, Judah arranges his marriage to this woman named Tamar. But, as verse 7 says, was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord took his life.
I mean, that is the case.
Okay. This flies in the face of so much modern Protestant theology.
Yeah, worst to free
Like,
will.
there's one, yeah, I mean, there are also many Protestants who have no problem with God taking someone's life, but it also is like one of many examples of God delineating people into good and bad.
Yeah.
Like, this is not modern Christianity where all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God and we're all evil sinners. Like, no, God clearly has a bar, and some humans meet that bar,
hmm
and some humans do not, and he just kills them because they turned out to be too evil.
And what's the bar? Like, because, so for example, I don't know what Air did. Like, I'm sure whatever he
Right.
did, it was horrible. But like, he didn't go in and kill the entire town of Shechem. He didn't have sex with his father's concubine. Like we don't really know what he did, but like, there's so many other crimes that go unpunished. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what could he have possibly done? The God was just gonna smite him.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a sneaking suspicion it's something we probably don't think is as bad as some of the other things that went unpunished.
It's true.
Just speculation though. I'm speculating there. We don't know. We don't know.
I mean, it could have been something theological, like perhaps like some form of blasphemy. Like
Mm,
it's not that he committed a grave sin; it's that he committed a grave sin against God, and God couldn't handle it. It's like, listen,
right.
you can like do all kinds of things. You can go like kidnap women, like they said in Judges 19, and make them your brides. But what you can't do is blaspheme me. That'd be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, another argument for why divine command theory is not a great moral system.
And it makes you wonder, like, because if God is in the business of offing people for their behavior, how did Hitler get the slip?
Well, yeah. I mean, of many, many, many examples. And again, I do think that is a. It's like modern Christians are okay with God just taking people's lives in the Old Testament, but somehow there is no expectation that God would do that now.
Yeah,
You
it's different
know,
now, they'll say.
it's different now, right? Like Christians don't think that God is just going to end wicked people, um, because they that would violate their free will, I guess. But
That's what they would
Era's free
say.
will, yeah, didn't doesn't matter. I don't know. It's a big circle. It's like a
Certainly not.
circle of logic. Yeah.
I think, from an atheist viewpoint, it's easier to look at this story and be like, well, these brothers died. Uh,
Mm,
they didn't have science. They didn't know what got them or why they had a sudden death. Maybe they had a stroke or an aneurysm or something. We don't know, a heart attack. And they just
right.
think, well, they fucked with the wrong God. Now they're dead. God took them, right? I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
really how these stories probably developed.
That would make so much more sense. Absolutely. Yeah. This crazy thing happened. We don't understand it. Therefore, it must have been one of our gods.
Mm-hmm. That's the only explanation. God was mad with them.
Mm-hmm. So then the story gets worse. Um, we have
So
just
bad.
scratched the surface. So as is, I guess, the custom, Judah says to Er's brother Onan, okay, well, now you have to marry Tamar, as our law requires of the brother of the man who died. And her first son from you will be your brother's heir. So, gosh, another of many, many examples where the woman's desire is completely irrelevant. What this woman wants is not important, but also, like, this is clearly just a business arrangement, right?
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
yeah. So it's sort of like, well, your brother died and his widow is going to be out on the street, so you have to take her in. And if it was just like providing housing, then I would say, what a lovely thing to do. However, no, now it means she has to sleep with him, and the whole equation changes drastically.
Yeah, because first of all, I mean, because she's property, obviously her say doesn't matter. But also, like, how can you preserve the lineage and the estate of your brother if she doesn't have a son somehow?
Hmm.
So, and you would think to yourself, well, and I've heard Christians say this, well, that's just how culture was back then. But that's not really, I mean, while that is the case in some cultures, that wasn't really the case with the Bible. In Deuteronomy 25, God enshrines this law for all of the Israelites to do. It wasn't like God was against it. And so in verse 5 of Deuteronomy, you get the Levirate marriage
Hmm.
law, which is exactly like what we find in Genesis, where if your brother dies leaving the widow, it's upon you to go into her and produce an offspring. It says, the firstborn whom she bears shall succeed to the name of this deceased brother, so that his name may not be blotted out of Israel. So the concern is that the man's lineage carries on, not for the welfare of the widow at all.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
It is crazy. It is. Yeah. Ugh. And I really am frustrated with that argument that, like, well, God was really limited to what their culture was, that, and he was just kind of working with what he had. Okay. Sure. Sure. So limited. So Onan is like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want this child to get my brother's stuff. I'm not going to impregnate her. No thanks. However, that did not stop him from sleeping with her. You know, he could have gone about this two different ways, right? He could have abstained completely.
Mm-hmm.
That would
Mm-hmm.
guarantee that she would not get pregnant. That was not his tact. Instead, he has intercourse with her, but pulls out and spills his semen on the ground. And God was really mad about that. That was very disrespectful. In verse 10, it says, the Lord considered it a wicked thing for him to deny a child to his dead brother. So we're really worried about the dead brother, not the living wife. So the Lord took Onan's life too. Just, I love how succinct it is. Like, yep, nope, took his life too. Don't
Yahweh
be
does not
ridiculous.
like this family at all. He is fed up.
Bad out. Oh, you're bad out. Done.
I always wondered, because the story isn't entirely clear. It says once Onan knew that the offspring was not going to be his, he spilled his semen on the ground. Whenever he went into his brother's wife, which means it was more
Oh.
than once.
Oh, mine doesn't. Oh, wait, it does say whenever. I missed that the first time.
Isn't that crazy?
Bro, keep it in your pants,
In
man.
fact, let me see
Like,
what's in the original. We're in 38, right? Genesis 38. Because it could just be when, and the
mm,
translator is putting whenever.
okay.
Um, so, bu- 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 oh well, yeah, we've got im for when. So
Mm.
when he came to his woman. Um, so I mean, yeah, they're translating when as whenever, but I think that's fair because when and whenever are roughly the same in this text. I don't see how it would change if we just included the word when. So how long do you think this charade went on? Maybe at least a month before she was like, "Hey, I'm not pregnant yet." Like,
I mean, do you think this is a really interesting question? For anyone listening who has watched Bridgerton, um, there's a plot line in which this young woman gets married and she lives in a society in which she knows literally nothing about sex, has no idea how it works or anything. And the man she marries does not want to have any children. And so he pulls this same thing and she is confused. She doesn't know what it is. She doesn't understand what's happening. So, like, are you thinking that Tamar like wouldn't know what was happening, or she would be like, "Ugh, bro"?
so that's the thing is like they always paint whenever we read sexual stories in the Bible, they always paint it in like an unrealistic light. Like
Mm-hmm.
Jacob didn't know he was with the wrong woman, and Lot didn't know he was sleeping with like the sexual unions always seem like really like rudimentary and unrealistic. So like, would she know specifically that he was spilling his seed? Maybe. I mean, it sounds like she would have an idea of it. I mean, if it happened more than once, you'd think after the first or second time she'd be like, "Hey, this motherfucker's not putting his seed in me." Um, like she
Yeah,
knows that he's pulling out. I
right.
mean, I'm assuming she's not blindfolded. She sees what's happening, right?
I would think so. Yeah. So, yeah, who knows how long it went on, but I guess if the expectation is that she's going to get pregnant pretty quick, then he would be found out pretty quick. Granted, there's supposed to be this God who knows what everyone's doing anyway, so God should have known the first time he did it.
Yeah, that is the case. Um, so imagine for a second this displeased God so much that he had to kill Onan, but like if God already knew he was going to do it and he already knew he was going to kill Onan, well, why let the poor woman suffer? Just do it after one time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you have a God who can see the future, you then have the ethics of should he punish people before they do a thing because he knows they're going to do a thing, but is it unethical because they haven't done the thing yet?
Or just
Um,
prevent them from doing it.
Prevention would be so much better. That's my vote. He should just prevent the bad thing from happening.
I think what a lot of like modern theists, like Christians, don't realize is that in this time frame, the gods weren't all knowing, all powerful, omnipresent. They just weren't. And
Right.
so this story lines up perfectly with a god that is more like, I don't know, a superhuman than in
Mm-hmm.
fact the max omni deity that we see from like Greek philosophy that gets imported into Christianity and eventually into some strains of Judaism. When you like put that at the forefront, like, oh yeah, there's a lot of things the Godhead didn't know he was going to do that. That makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Once God became aware of it, he's like, this guy now he's toast. We're gonna smite him. Um,
Yes, he got smote.
Everything about Genesis makes much more sense once you realize that the God's not omni. It just
Yes,
everything checks out.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so vengeful God has now taken two of these dudes, and then Judah says, "Okay, just don't marry again.
Just
Just give up.
two's enough.
Two's enough, and go back home to your parents." She was to remain a widow until his youngest son, Sheila, was old enough to marry her, which gross, depending on how old he is, but whatever.
Maybe she
But
was a
then,
cougar. Who knows?
but Judah didn't really intend to do this because he was afraid Sheila would also die like his two brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in the story, the two brothers deserved it. So maybe you should use this time to educate your son to not be a turd.
Yeah,
Just
that's a good point because like okay, so the two sons were so wicked human beings that God had to smite them despite all the other people that didn't get smitten or smoted. I don't know what the past tense. But okay, was Judah just not unaware that his children were shysters?
yeah. Or he just blamed it on the woman anyway. Right? Like, well, don't marry
Yeah.
Tamar because all of her husbands die, even though it's their own damn fault.
That's exactly what would happen to this time period. They would 100% blame the woman. A million percent. Although that seems like a failure on God's part. If God has to smite these two men and doesn't make it known that, hey, the woman didn't do anything wrong, then now he's being negligent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not clear if God tells people why he smites these guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it was already perceived, like if you couldn't get pregnant in this time period as a woman, it was already perceived that the God was mad at you. He was preventing
Mm-hmm.
you from being fruitful because um, they don't know reproduction. You're just a vessel for the seed. That's why it says when women aren't producing, it says they're barren, like a barren field. They don't know anything about reproductive processes. They just think when you put the fucking seed in and it grows, it must be your problem. I put the seed in you. You're the problem.
Clearly. Oh my God. Okay. So Tamar goes home to her parents. And then after some time passes, Judah's wife dies, and he and his buddy are going somewhere to shear the sheep.
Mm.
Okay, so it says someone told Tamar that her father in law had left for the sheep shearing, and Tamar was aware that Sheila had grown up, but they had not called her to come home and marry him. Before we get into this, still, like, you married brother number one, then you had to marry brother number two. And at this point, brother number three is so young that he is ineligible for marriage. And so you have to go home and like wait for the other brother of your husband to be old enough to marry you. And then he has to be like in charge of you. And then you have to sleep with him. And like,
Yeah.
it's
I
so
mean,
bad.
it's got to be like, it's got to feel like you're hitching a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I cannot imagine knowing someone as a child when they are a child and then later marrying them.
Right. Yeah.
Ugh.
It's nonsensical. The other thing too is like the way I'm reading this is like I don't know what the age of marriage is, like when a young person is ready to marry, if it was 16 or 17 or 18, let's just assume it's 18. But for all intents and purposes, basically we're assuming that like, the year he turned 18, he should start have babies with this woman. But like you're not ready to start a family the day like the day you're old enough to do so. Like what's he gonna do? He can't care for them. It seems like the only way this makes sense is if somehow producing a son is going to make sure that the estate of her ex-husband, or widowed husband, late husband, I think is what they say, it just makes sure that the estate of her late husband gets passed down to her son. That's all. Which, if
Mm-hmm.
that's all they needed, right? If she doesn't need to be cared for by this other man, she just needs to have a son. Well, I mean, they could have just passed the estate on to her. Like that, it didn't have to.
They're not going to give a woman anything. Don't be ridiculous. She has
There's
to produce an heir so they can give it to a man and not give her anything.
yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
Although in the ancient Near East, women did inherit property
Oh,
quite
that's good.
often, especially if they were widowed, and this was not out of the norm, which means this
Mm,
biblical story is abnormal.
got it. Okay. So Tamar's mad because she has not been given this thing that was promised to her. So she changed out of her widow's clothing and covered herself with a veil to disguise herself. So she is essentially like wearing the outfit from Pretty Woman here when
When Richard Gere drives by,
this is what I got from this because it says Judah noticed her as she went by and thought she was a prostitute since her face was veiled. So, have I interpreted that correctly? Like, this is what you wear if you are a prostitute.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, she put on the red dress and waiting for business.
Okay. So, this guy stops and propositions her to sleep with him, not realizing she was his own daughter in law. Okay. Tamar asks, "How much will you pay me?" And he says, "I'll send you a young goat from my flock." And she wants to be sure that he's actually going to do it. And so she asks for essentially like his personal stuff. My version says, "I want your identification seal, your cord, and the walking stick you are carrying."
Right.
So is this like having like a family coat of arms kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, I've got one. Hold on. There's
Of course you do.
so there's two types. And there were two ways that you could carry a seal. A more formal seal, like what you might find at a palace, would look something like this. It was a cylinder with a
Okay.
hole through it, and you would put a cord through it. Sometimes you would wear it around your neck. Sometimes, if it was a small one, like one of these, you could wear it as a bracelet with the cord. And then you just took a piece of clay and you just rolled over top of it to do your imprint. That being said, the more normal way to do it was to have something more akin to like a ring or a stamp.
Mm,
And even if you had a ring, sometimes they would wear it around their neck or around their wrist, either way, and then you would just press it into the clay. That's most likely what he actually had. And
okay.
so it would bear your emblem. So when you put a wax seal on something, it would have your emblem. People would knew that it came from you, much like they did back in ye olden days.
Got it. Okay. So she's like, no, I want your identification. Then it says she let him sleep with her and she became pregnant. Great.
How is it that how is it that he did not recognize her identity as he's
Well, she's veiled the whole time.
you couldn't tell by like the voice or even like the surely there'd be some cue,
I
right?
don't know. He has no idea.
Like
Yeah.
especially if it's someone that you've spent many years with because like it's your kin basically. Like you should be able to recognize their voice. Like I was on a live stream yesterday and I recognized the voice of someone I talked to like a year ago. I've only talked to him like
Right.
once. Like you can't recognize your daughter-in-law's voice.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Did they spend a lot of time together? Like, would he have known her that well? Like, would she have been, I don't know, hidden away in a I don't know. I guess I don't how much like physical contact would a father-in-law have with his daughter-in-law? Like, I genuinely have no idea.
I don't know. I don't know. Because like in this time period, I'm sure it would be drastically different than our time period where they um they had clear-cut jobs within the community. The women were meant to work and, churn butter. And the men were out in the fields. So I don't know if they like actually like spent a lot of time together conversing. And a lot of times they'd have separate tents too. Like even if you were in like a small community, you would obviously had separate dwellings. So it's not like you're
Mhm.
having pillow talk every night or anything.
Right. Right.
Um, but certainly, I just think it's weird that he didn't
It
recognize
is
his
weird.
daughter-in-law's voice. It's a weirdly, and Jesus too. When Jesus resurrects, Mary Magdalene doesn't recognize the voice of her Messiah, her
Yeah,
rabbi.
that was weird. That whole
Like
thing is weird.
there's these weird episodes in the Bible where people aren't recognized, and you're like, how? How do you not recognize
Mhm.
Joseph? We're going to come up with another time when Joseph doesn't recognize, or when the brothers don't recognize Joseph. It's like, what do you mean you don't recognize them? What? How good are their disguises? Like these sound like plot holes to me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. So apparently, the dad here has no problem impregnating strangers because he did not bother to spill his seed on the ground.
Yeah, isn't that the crazy part of the story? Because he could have, right?
Right.
He could
Why?
have. Like, if you're sleeping
Like,
with a prostitute, just pull out.
yeah. I mean, especially with like the now, with the passing down of inheritances and stuff, like you're going to risk creating another heir? Like that seems like a really risky thing to do. Like why would you do that? I don't know. It
Yeah,
seems strange.
it really begs the question too. Like, okay, if heir was so wicked because he spilled his seed rather than impregnating his sister-in-law, then like, but God's not gonna smite Judah for sleeping with her, thinking that she's a prostitute.
It's cool because they're producing a kid and that's, you
That's really what
know,
this is about. Yeah.
really it's fine. I don't know. I have no justification for it. Oh god. Okay. So, let's see. So he has sex with her and then later he tells his friend, "Hey, like give this lady a goat and give me my stuff back." And he tries to find her and he can't. And the people around there are like, "What are you talking about? There is no prostitute here. You've been had." Um, and he's worried about being made fun of. And then, like, verse 24 is like, okay, the story has now ceased to be funny. And now I'm just mad.
Yep.
Like, so 3 months later, now she's starting to show, right? We can tell that she's pregnant. Word reached Judah that Tamar, his daughter-in-law, was pregnant as a result of prostitution. Bring her out and burn her, Judah shouted.
Mm-hmm.
You cowardly little man. Like, so this woman who is a widow, right, who is not married to anyone, has apparently prostituted, and this is so egregious that she needs to be burned to death. And Judah, who is also a widower, engages in prostitution,
Yeah.
and it's completely fine.
Totally fine. Yeah.
Ah!
Which is crazy because even in the biblical law, like you didn't just get burned alive for prostitution. Like that was only true if you were the daughter of a priest. If you're daughter of a priest, then you can get burned alive for prostitution. But like regular everyday prostitutes didn't get the death penalty.
Yeah, this seems this seems excessive. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, does he even have ownership over her anymore? Like, she's not married to any of his sons. She hasn't even produced any heirs
Mm-hmm.
to his family. Like, who is this guy anymore, you know?
But also, if prostitution is such a great crime, at least as they're painting it here, and people saw her out there prostituting, why didn't they just stop her? Like, why didn't they, hey, you're breaking the law? Like, why let her do it and then later come back like, well, now we got to kill you?
Right. Well, yeah, when I read it, I was thinking, like, he is angry in particular because she got pregnant via prostitution, and somehow that, like, he's taking it personally.
Oh, you know what? That's a fair point because the other angle here is that because she got pregnant via prostitution, then she can't, or it would be impure for her to reproduce with Shelah at this point.
Mm.
And so now to be completely honest, Judah didn't care about that. He didn't want her to reproduce with Shelah, most likely. But he has to have this performative outrage about it, even though that's not really what he wants, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would cut off his whole inheritance program now because his there aren't going to be any sons that come for his first two sons who are dead. Like, their lineage is dead now because
The
she
toast.
ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's like not the prostitution itself that he's so mad about, but the fact that she's having a baby with someone else.
I think that might be the real thing that Judah's really upset about. Maybe not necessarily just the prostitution. Um, but it's interesting because he's two-faced either way. He didn't want
Yes,
her to be with Sheila anyways. He's just not a good
totally.
person.
Guess that's where his sons get it.
That's what I'm thinking. God should have smoked all of them.
Right? Just cut off Judah and be done and leave poor Tamar out of this.
Poor Tamar. And
God.
yeah, she gets a bad. The other thing too is the next Tamar we run into is one of the daughters of Solomon, and she has a horrible go as well. But the Tamars of the Bible are not getting treated well.
No, clearly not. Don't be Tamar. It's not fun.
No, I would never name my daughter Tamar if I was a Christian, just because like I know it happens to Tamars in the Bible.
It's not good. Don't do it. She is, though, smart and ballsy, which I appreciate. So
Yeah.
well done on making the best of a really, really, really bad situation. Um, I like that she kind of sticks it to him. So, verse 25 says, "But as they were taking her out to kill her, she sent this message to her father in law. The man who owns this identification seal and walking stick is the father of my child. Do you recognize them?" Ruh-roh!
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, Tamar. And this is like the worst non-apology ever. Like, I would be so mad if this is what I heard. So Judah admitted that they were his and said, "She is more in the right than I am." You're not at all in the right, you
Mm-hmm.
dum dum. Like,
Yeah.
stop it.
You're the asshole here, Judah. This is not, it's not
Right.
good for you.
Like, well, I mean, I'm right, but she's a little more right. Fair point. No, you're a terrible human being.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. He says, "But she's more in the right than I am because I didn't keep my promise to let her marry my son Sheila." But Judah never slept with Tamar again. I
It's
would
crazy they have to
hope
say that.
not. Right? Like,
Why,
what?
why would they have to tell us that? Do they think that we were going to think they were going to continue sleeping together once they had a baby?
I don't. I guess, right? I mean, so now it's really
It's
confusing.
so
So,
icky.
as far as like inheritance, so, Judah's at the top and he's got these two sons and he wants them to have a son so their stuff can whatever. But now Tamar has like gone back up and made a baby with Judah. So all of Judah's stuff can just be handed down to this new offspring, which sort of then includes both of his dead sons too.
Yeah, so the way I'm reading this is that the offspring, which is their twins, are going to inherit all kinds of stuff. They're going to inherit Judah's wealth, Er's wealth, Odin's wealth. Like they're going to inherit a whole lot.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so in due season, the time of Tamar's delivery arrived, and she had twin sons. As they were being born, one of them reached out his hand, and the midwife tied a scarlet thread around the wrist of the child who appeared first, saying this one came out first. But then he drew back his hand, and the other baby was actually the first to be born. Have these people ever attended a childbirth?
Whoever writes these stories have not. They have not seen childbirth.
Right, and yeah, in what, like, do they think it's just like a little hatch where you like look inside the womb and be like, "Ooh, which one should I
You
pick?"
just peek in. Just,
In what world does a baby's hand come out first and then somehow retract and a different baby comes out? Not a thing.
it's not realistic. This is one of the reasons why you know that these stories are contrived because they have to make up details that are just unrealistic.
And written by men. like like I don't think
Yeah.
even in that time period a woman wouldn't have written this because
No, of
she's
course
been
not.
there.
Yeah, she knows that this is bonkers. I'm trying to
Ugh.
remember what the name Perez means. So, does it give it an actual in the Hebrew dictionary the meaning of his name? How you have broken out, perhaps, or to break out. That makes sense. Interesting. So the the second child though, Zerah. I can't believe I didn't notice this detail right now until I was reading this for the second, third, fourth, fifth time, however many times it is you know what the word Zerah means in Hebrew?
I do not.
Typically means seed.
Nice.
I feel like that has to do with the story.
Yeah.
Like that's not a. I mean, To be fair, it is spelled differently. The last consonant, which is essentially silent, is different. But when you speak it, it means the same thing. So I mean, it sounds the same. So I'm thinking like this is a play on words, with the
Okay.
story being that you know the whole story is about seeds.
Indeed. I was just flipping back to the. Oh, okay. I was thinking, how similar is this to Jacob and Esau when they were being born?
Mm,
A little, I mean, it's still unrealistic, a little less so. It's just that Jacob's just grabbing his heel,
right.
which also wouldn't happen, but
The
not
hand's
quite as
too small
crazy.
at that age to really
Well, and
grab
it's, yeah,
much.
because, if anyone, if you haven't been around babies in a long time, their proportions are so different. Like when a newborn stretches up their hands as high as they can go, their hands only go to here. Like their
Yeah.
head is so big and their arms, like this is all that they can do. So the idea of
Hmm.
them like stretching out their hand and grabbing something is completely preposterous.
It's crazy. As you already noted, the best evidence that this was a contrived story written by men is they get all the details wrong about things that women would know.
Yes, right.
They fumble every time. I think we pointed this out before with prior stories. They just fumble it every time.
Yeah. Turns out, even when you are in a very patriarchal society, women know stuff. And
Yeah.
these men don't seem to understand that women have an entire body of knowledge and you can't just make it up. You actually have to know stuff, dudes.
In fact, the earliest teachers and practitioners of medicine in the ancient Near East, especially in Egypt, often were women because the time in which medicine was the most important was typically around childbirthing. That's when you need medical intervention the most, typically. And for that reason, not just the midwives were women, but also often so were the doctors or the medicine people, because childbirthing requires a level of expertise that women had because they gave birth. But you wouldn't catch that from the Bible because they have no idea what's happening.
No, they had no idea. Oh, it reminds me of I'm gonna botch this story. So if you're familiar with it, correct me. But there was some piece of archaeology, some item that was discovered in some kind of archaeological dig, and the people who were doing couldn't figure out what it was. And it happened, I think that they were like all men who were just looking at this item, and they're like, what, maybe use it for this, maybe for this or whatever. And then like just some random woman was like, oh no, that's a crochet thing, or like that's how you make clothes. And they were like, what?
100%.
Yeah, it turns out there's like an entire body of knowledge and skill.
Hmm. And so, like, this goes back to something I think we've talked about this before. The crazy thing about how churches function is that
Mm,
the women aren't really, they don't get a lot as much involvement in most churches as the men. They're typically not allowed to preach and teach, but like there's so much information, and even just looking at the Bible, there's so much you're missing out reading the Bible when you only get a man's perspective, because like we're not going to notice the same details that a woman would notice quite often. And so like it's so you're at such a disadvantage when you read the Bible from only one particular viewpoint.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea that only men should be preaching means you're missing out on so much. And I think growing up in that, like I didn't understand, and I imagine many well-meaning men don't understand what they're missing out on, just not being taught by women,
Yeah.
and not having exposure to looking at the world from a totally different perspective, instead of assuming that the male perspective is the default, that this is the way the world is. Well, no, actually, this is how you see it through your eyes, but what if we looked at it a different way? There's so much, yeah, so much is lost if you don't include women's perspectives in your stories.
Indeed, and culture matters too. Like you've seen the nativities where it's like Joseph, Mary, couple angels, and baby Jesus. But like if you go to like an African nation that's got a lot of Christians or whatnot, like you're gonna see all kinds of people in the birth scene because like you didn't give birth alone. You had your family there. There's all kinds of women huddled around helping the birth. Like it wasn't just Joseph and Mary chilling in a barn somewhere. That's crazy. Like that's so Western, like first world view of things.
Mm,
They would have never done it that way in the ancient world.
yeah. Well, I mean, doesn't the story kind of make you do that? Like,
Yeah, if you're reading the story and you're not putting like cultural expectations into it, you could definitely come to the conclusion that it was just the two of them.
oh man, can you imagine being a woman in the ancient world and having to give birth, and the only person to help you is a man who knows absolutely zero,
Yeah.
has never witnessed a birth or know anything about birth or, oh no.
I
Terrible.
wonder, like, since Jesus was so special, like, if Mary had a very strenuous labor, or if God was like, okay, this one time we'll make it easy.
I think he at least owes Mary that.
Yeah,
Like, hopefully Jesus just slid right out like a little slip and slide.
that's right. Bloop.
Yeah, exactly. Like giving
Joseph
birth to a
just
jelly bean.
sitting there with a towel trying to catch it.
Yes, I hope it was easy for Mary because yeah, she didn't have a good go of it.
Indeed. Poor Mary. I mean, obviously, I don't believe that the mythological story is true, but like the parts of it, like watching your son get murdered, is pretty bad. You can at least give her a nice delivery, you know.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Yeah. God, that wasn't me.
Said every man ever after every birth.
Yeah, right. God, I'm glad men have to like come in and at least watch now so they can appreciate the agony that women go through.
Yeah, but you don't understand, Sarah. We have to work. Oh wait. Oh shoot. That's right. Damn it.
So do
Yeah, you gotta do that too.
we. Yeah, we sure do. We just get all of it.
It's so bad. At least
Oh.
you can do a scheduled C-section nowadays
I mean,
if
you
you have good insurance and
can,
money.
but C-section is really hard to come back from. I mean,
The recovery is tough.
yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot to come back from.
Yeah, I've seen a number of them. It is tough. You're in the bed for like the next 2 weeks for sure. Yeah, and doing simple tasks are very difficult, like sitting up so you can eat or going to the restroom. Very difficult.
Yeah, don't want to do that without, I mean, and then caring for a baby when you've literally been cut open and, you know, ugh, ouch. It's all bad. No, thank you.
So we didn't actually get to touch any Joseph this chapter,
We did not. We took the entire time on chapter 38.
but it's such a good chapter. You don't want to cut it short. You don't want
That's
to
true.
shortchange it. It really is a good
Well,
chapter.
so next time, I mean, I feel like you have some homework to do in watching The Prince of Egypt.
That is the case. Yep. Hmm. I watched The Prince of Egypt, and then it sounds like I need to figure out how to see the musical as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we could find that somewhere. I'm sure it
It's
exists.
got to be on the. I guarantee, like even just a YouTube video would be able to pull it up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure we can figure that out.
Yeah, certainly could.
All right. Well, then we will call it a night at chapter 38. Thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. And we will see you soon.
Bye.